Hello everyone and welcome to the mountains of Dovrefjell.
Dovrefjell is a mountain region and national park known for its rich flora and fauna. Its rugged, seemingly empty landscape is a sanctuary for a handful mountain-dwelling creatures such as wild reindeer, Arctic foxes, ptarmigan, and perhaps most famously, the mighty musk oxen. Ahead of me, I have a 5-day photography expedition in search of some of the specialized species that survive the harsh winter here in the unforgiving mountains of central Norway.
I've only been hiking for about an hour and already I've had my first wildlife sighting. There is a red fox that's making its way up the valley side. So I think what I'm going to do is head off in that direction and hopefully it's going to come slightly towards me. But now I need to quickly put you down and I'm going to ditch my stuff and go for it. That was absolutely spectacular. I don't think you could see it from your angle, but the fox, it sensed that I was here and it started walking up onto the ridge behind me, and just as it was peaking on the very top of the ridge, it looked back at me and I got it perfectly silhouetted. It's really small in frame, but I love those minimalistic small in frame images. Wow, this trip is already off to such a great start.
The musk oxen on Dovrefjell draw in wildlife photographers from far and wide. A large majority of photographers stay within a few kilometers of the main road, so in pursuit of uncharted, wilder regions, I snowshoed as far into the musk oxen's core area as possible. In other words, I had a lot of hiking to come.
Just spotted my first group of musk oxen, but unfortunately by the time I make it there it's probably going to be dark, so I'm just going to continue on in a steady pace in the direction I was heading, and if I don't find anything else I'll probably head back to them tomorrow.
With darkness descending upon the mountains, I was forced to settle down and found a sheltered valley to set up my tent away from the most powerful winds. This would be my base camp for an uncertain duration, depending on how much wildlife I could locate around camp. I melted some snow, had some food and settled in for a short night before getting up to catch sunrise.
I just got out of the tent, and what a magnificent morning it is. The sun's just rising behind me here, and I just heard the calls of a male rock ptarmigan up in the slope right behind the tent. So I think I'm going to get my camera out and see if I can find him and maybe get some images, because the light is just absolutely spectacular right now.
Spotting a white bird in a white landscape is no easy task, but with direct light creating shadows and highlights, I hoped the sunlight could help me locate the ptarmigan. However, the clouds had other plans, and only moments later they obstructed the sun and I was left with flat, overcast light.
I have visuals on a flock of them. I think there are like 10 individuals probably, about 100 meters up this hill.
These ptarmigan were of the shy sort, constantly moving away from me. I looked down for a moment to get into a better position, but when I looked up, they'd already disappeared into thin air. But before they did so, I was able to capture 2 very minimalistic photos of the white mountain chickens.
So I've made it back to the tent. I'll have myself a quick breakfast, and then I'll repack a bit and head out in search of muskox.
It's almost difficult to believe that this footage is captured just an hour after the glorious sunrise, but this goes to show the unpredictability of the winter mountains and the importance of taking precautions and being prepared.
I cannot see anything whatsoever. It's just completely blank white. Fortunately, I know where the cliffs are, so I'll steer away from those.
The hours and kilometers passed by, and the mountains seemed virtually completely devoid of life. However, every now and again, I would come across signs telling me the opposite. Some valley sides were littered with droppings after musk oxen and wild reindeer, and on one ridge I even found a feeding station set up by the authorities to boost the survival of Arctic foxes in the area. As I was studying the feeding station, the clouds briefly lifted, and it was a relieving comfort to suddenly be able to see further than 20 meters ahead of me.
After many hours of practical whiteout, we've now had a break in the weather, so I got on my binoculars and I was scanning over the slope here, and there is a herd of wild reindeer about 1 kilometer away.
The wild reindeer on Dovrefjell are among the wildest reindeer in Norway and are extremely shy and prone to disturbance by humans. Therefore, I settled down and decided to observe them from a safe distance. However, as the winds shifted and they caught a whiff of me, it didn't take them long to move up the hill and into the neighbouring valley out of sight. Instead of following them, I continued in the opposite direction to give them peace through this tough period in their lives. But even from afar, I was able to make the most of the empty scenery and captured some minimalistic photos of these nomads of the north.
I was making my way back to camp, and
The extreme conditions were taking their toll on the equipment, and my vlogging camera mysteriously malfunctioned on many occasions, randomly cutting off the video. But as I was saying, to get back to camp I had to cross over this mountain. At the very top of the peak I ascended, the boulders ahead of me suddenly started moving. First one, then two, and in the end 12 musk oxen stood right before me. I instantly backed off, and from a respectable distance, I sat down. Before long, the musk oxen shifted their focus away from me, and I could start photographing their natural behavior as they dealt with the savage winter weather.
Absolutely incredible.
Over 10 years I've wanted to photograph musk oxen in a winter storm, and now my dream is finally becoming a reality. And here are my favourite photos. In the next episode, the adventure continues with more stormy weather as I cover vast areas in search for mature bull muskox to photograph. But camping in the mountains is not without risk, and I soon get a brisk reminder of the seriousness of a winter storm.
I think I just experienced the most scary moment of my entire life.
To make sure you do not miss out on the next episode, please consider subscribing to the channel. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye for now.